meeting besi-analyze khona i-fourth quarter. So kahle kahle nje kuthi angithi aningapresent first singene kuma-questions kodwa sizonikeza nje leyo nto ukuthi please sicela nje ukuthi nisinikeze 3 minutes for ile nto nje just to summarize, and then we ask questions, and then because nama resolutions we workers parliament, I think there are not many HOD akondele no DSD, so that sizokwazi ukuthi sibe naso isikhathi. So this meeting will take up about an hour, just an hour for this in this meeting. Honorable members, on the apologies, I received one apology. I just want to report to the members that Honorable Flopsile Dlamini was admitted. She's in hospital, but I've negotiated with her to say she must ask the children to bring the laptop to hospital. So she is part of the meeting. She's here, part of the meeting, but she's hospitalized. So we wish her a speedy recovery. That is the only apology from our side that we have received. Are there any apologies from your side, department?
Thank you very much,
Thank you, Ashoti. Can you assist the officials to connect so that when you speak, because we do have members that are connected visual. So if you can just connect and then speak share with teams. We are on agenda item number 3, adoption of the agenda. Can we move for the adoption of the agenda? Our meeting is constituting honorable members. We have got the quorum. Honorable Mbatatsale. Honorable Mbatatsale is moving for the adoption of the agenda. Is there a second? Honorable Luswe. Honorable Luswe Ngubane is seconding the agenda. We are now on agenda item number 4, the remarks by the MEC. MEC, you have got 3 minutes. Just tell us the issues ezidla umzi nofuna sizizwe njenge-committee ongathanda ukuthi sizizwe. We talked over that. Yes.
Greetings to yourself, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. Greetings to the support staff for the legislature. Greetings to HOD and her team. Ngiyabona sigalelekile. The whole office of DSD is all out. Greetings to everyone who's here. Honorable Chairperson, we feel very much honored to be part of this gathering. In fact, we need to take stock of what we have done all the time, so as to improve on what we are doing moving forward. So it is very much important that we come in front of this committee so as to measure our performance, because that's what is important. In fact, it is important for me to acknowledge the work which has been done by our employees of social development during this time. Other employees are working under pressure due to the high level of ukuntshontsha kweyimoto. So they are working under pressure. We have made some new systems, but as of now, it's we are towards the correct direction, but steadily so. So they are really having a lot of pressure, and the floods disasters have added on top of their difficulty when it comes to their work, to the implementation of their work. But most important for your information, Chairperson, is the shortage of social workers. We have a number of qualified social workers which are not employed, which are unemployed as of now due to the budget cuts. But for your information, we need those social workers, because you could see that we even go to take to other less affected districts, take social workers from those areas. So we need more social workers. And the social workers themselves need work. They always go and flood our offices, having some toys and all that, not realizing that our hands are tied as the department. We don't have enough funds to employ social workers. For your information, Chairperson, just to make a typical example, this office, this Madadeni Rehabilitation Centre, doesn't have a manager, and it's for two past years. For the critical area like this, the rehabilitation center, for not to have a manager, because we cannot fill even the most critical posts. But having people who are placed here, it's those children who have been in conflict with the law, others who have been using some drugs for quite some time. So it will have a very negative effect if we don't have the manager in this center. So there are more centers which are of this nature. We do not have managers. As we are moving towards our fourth quarter report, looking at the performance, it becomes more imperative to me to touch on the issues of gender-based violence, because I want to touch on the core functions. As much as we work as a department, but you see that the gender-based violence is escalating. There are hotspot areas, and there are foreign tendencies. You didn't realize that a priest can kill a child. And if it was not for that child to be sacrificed, all 5 children would be killed. So there are some instances like those. And for us, you would realize that at least the areas which are the deep rural areas, there was less of gender-based violence. But today, I must tell you, if you are looking at the gender-based violence and the high level of teenage pregnancy, you go to Zululand. Zululand areas become number 3 in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. You have your Nongoma areas which are leading in gender-based violence. You have your King Chwai. So you have areas you didn't realize that they can have such a high level of gender-based violence. So something should be done, and should be done with speed. And that's why I'm saying we need more social workers. If we had funds, we would have placed a social worker in each and every school. We would have placed a social worker in each and every clinic where people are gathered. So that's what I want to emphasize, Chairperson, that the shortage of funds, the budget cuts, have a very negative effect. In the financial year, Chairperson, you would see that we had some targets, but you would see that there would be areas which reflect the underspending. Under those areas, it is due to the targets. Underperformance. In fact, you set your targets based on the baseline, taking from the baseline. So, COVID-19 made baseline zethu zishintsha now and then, because you say, as of now, or the area bebengihleka management, ngithi there are areas esithi you have underperformed as a portfolio committee, nami myself. Why have you underperformed here? Oh, Mr. Madela, bekhona no Dr. Kaba, but MEC, in fact, you should appreciate that we have underperformed in that area. Because if you say, why have you underperformed gender-based violence? Besithe sizo-addressa lokho, but we have underperformed. So gender-based violence is where we should underperform actually. Ngoba performance ithi you have high numbers. We will address abantu abangaka. On the other hand, if there's less gender-based violence, you will at least address abantu abangaka. So you have you have lesser numbers. So Tina, we should appreciate if we have lesser numbers in terms of that. Because we had a target which was informed by into GBV, which escalated during COVID-19. So our baselines might not be realistic present, but all in all, Chairperson, I cannot preempt ukuthi bazayopresent abayibike ngayiphi indlela. I'm touching on what was highlighted during their presentation to me, because we set as a department in preparation of this. We just don't come here having not met as a department. I meet with them so as to prepare ourselves for this one. We take you as a very serious portfolio committee, and we wouldn't be where we are if you were not there just to monitor and guide us. And it is highly appreciated. Every remarks which are made, every comments which have been made, they were worth it, so as to shape us. It can be a comment from a member from the opposition desk, but every comment, we take it as a very serious comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, MEC, and thank you for those remarks. You have identified the challenges that you are facing as the department, and the gaps that you have, and the problems and the pressures that you face as the department. We appreciate that. And you are, what we like about you is that you are truthful. You always speak the truth. It shows that you were once a member of the legislature before. You used to play an oversight. So we hope that you continue playing your oversight with the department. Because you were playing oversight vigorously when you were still in the legislature. Thank you for those remarks. Honorable members, can we just continue? And if you have got anything that you want to raise on what the MEC is saying, can we just discuss about that under discussions after the presentations? After the department's presentations. At the moment, can we go straight to the minutes? Before me, I've got a set of minutes that of the 28th of April 2022. Can we start with the corrections of the minutes, honorable members, on page 1? Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Then page 14. Is there anyone who moved for the adoption of the minutes? If there are no corrections, honorable members, as the true reflection of the meeting that we held when we had a meeting with the department when they were during the budget hearing. Honorable Mavoso.
Thank you, Chair, and to everyone in the meeting, and move for the adoption of the minutes as the true reflection of what contained.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Honorable Kwanyala. The minutes they've been seconded, so we have adopted the minutes of the 28th of April 2022. Are there any issues of matters or a matter that is arising from the minutes, honorable members? If you remember, that's why these minutes are long, very long. They are very long, very and agarojwanga uyabona ukuthi nje umuntu owayekade wabhala yonke into esasikhuluma ngayo. Wathatha yonke into. These are very good minutes, actually, members. They are very good. Those are the minutes we took during the budget hearing just before our budget sittings. Honorable Les Governor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Chairperson, greetings to the Honorable MEC, HOD, and the officials from the department. Chair, at that meeting, we asked a question with regard to social workers per ward. and we were told that it was 100%. But I don't see anywhere in the responses by the department that they have actually clarified that it was 100%, that we have a social worker in every ward. Now, I remember when I think we had a meeting in Frade where I requested that we get a breakdown of social workers in every district. Now, I received 2. But I don't know what happened to the HOD after that, whether she doesn't like me anymore, but she doesn't respond to my calls, and she hasn't sent me any other this week. So, Chair, I just want a follow-up on that, please. Thank you.
Is there any other question, honourable members? Okay, Honourable Ngubane.
I mean, let's say I want to advocate is that what we need. Unless it's in the society, ikwazi ukuthi khona abasebenzi abalulekile sokuba ukuthi mhlawumbe bangakhi abasilekile okwenza uyamuntu awesiko kuneshifanele nje ukuthi nama-social workers amaningi kufanele ngabe aseqashiwe njengokuthi i-financial concern asikwazi ukuthi siqashe laba eliyazi nje futhi kukhona ukuthi ba-affecteke kangakanani abantu angabe bayasiza kahle bengasiza kahle.
Thank you, Honourable Ngubane, for that question. I don't see any hand visually. So we have got these 2 questions, MEC and HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson.
In 1 billion MT.
If there are some funds recommendations based on what, thank you. We made some recommendations, Chairperson, as a department based on some gaps we see. But as of now, we haven't received any responses. Those recommendations were taken to KwaZulu-Natal as a department. The department which has been coordinating is KwaZulu-Natal. As of now, everything has been taken to KwaZulu-Natal. We are still waiting for the responses. But it doesn't mean that we do not have pressures. We are experiencing some pressures, but due to the facilitation of KwaZulu-Natal, we seem to be just there. We are able to handle issues, especially with the feeding of the shelters. As of now, we are able to feed shelters. We are able to provide 3 meals a day due to the coordinated effort. And I think you have seen in the media where we receive some support, some interventions by even national, your Emirates, your a number of Mozambique. So with those interventions coordinated by Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, we don't feel that space. But there are items which need funds. You go to a shelter need food all the time. You might not find rice, samp and all, but see that you don't find vegetables in the center. So I'm saying these things because you might visit our centers, our shelters, and see that we have some pressures. So they might not have meat, they might not have vegetables. Those are the pressures we have. And our whatever is SRD, our SRD does not cover the issue of filling gas, the gas cylinders. So even if we provide some SRD to offset that load, but it doesn't cover. So you find abanye sitting on TV saying, we've been to forests to take some to collect some firewood. I think it's because of those pressures. If they didn't have something to fill in the gas, so they might find themselves in that situation. I'm being honest with you, and that is what you will find in our. But we try to provide our SRDs, but there are areas which are not covered by SRDs. On the social workers per ward, the HOD is going to respond. But to Honourable Governor, through you, Chair, I want to say with the social workers, which has this huge workload on their shoulders, you would find the HOD and her team, even at the provincial level, working overtime. At some point, they need to provide a report, submit reports now and then. National is waiting for them. At some point, by 12 o'clock, they call me, MEC, you said this should be done, how we should do this. And you find that they are still at work. So I think it was just an omission, but she will respond. On the affected employees, due to the COVID-19, we experienced about 24 employees who were taken by COVID-19. But we have about 25 employees who died through natural attritions. All of them, I'm talking about people who have not been replaced. In fact, all in all, I think you have that one, but you have about 80 people who have retired on retirement, is it? It's about 80. But they have not been replaced. So that's why we are saying we have some pressures. We are experiencing some pressures. As of now, we are seated with 196 vacancies of these employees. You have those who have retired, you have those who have resigned, you have those a number of areas, but they are going to give you correct figures. So for us, in fact, we have spoken about it. For us, it doesn't make sense. If Nonhlanhla Khoza dies today, seated here, holding this position, you cannot say I'm not feeling this position, because she had a responsibility. huge responsibility in front of her. So, okay, in whatever, I understand that you, Chairperson, you are a member of finance. I'm still a member of finance. We're no longer a member of finance. Oh, they do usually add that to us as social development portfolio committee. So, okay, we are experiencing those challenges. They will go. They give you the correct figures of what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Honorable Mbathatane.
If there are those who have died because of certain reasons, in my mind, I think those were budgeted. So I am what's in our budget. I understand those who are not in our point.
If I can respond to the question raised by the Honorable Mbathatane. These 196 posts, Honorable Member, are funded posts. Because if someone dies whilst doing his or her job, he is sitting with funded posts. So that's why we have a concern about these funded posts. But the budget cuts, for your information, Chair, they cut even the warm bodies, funds for the payment of the warm bodies seated in the office, because that was not negotiated with the office itself. They were just cuts. So the department is highly affected by those cuts. And those cuts are this year, you can see that it will show how much has been cut this financial year. And the previous financial years, they experienced some budget cuts. So you can see that they were not informed by my pleasures, IACON. They simply did what they do. It was the national budget cuts. Thank you, Chair.
Eshote.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Thank you, MEC. Thank you for the questions from the honorable members. The MEC did respond to the questions with regard to the officials that passed on. There are 24, those who passed on because of COVID-19. I will make a follow-up with honorable regarding concerns raised by Honorable Governor with regard to that, the database. I just want to make a follow-up with the PLO because in my understanding, I think we finalized the list of all the social workers in different wards across the province. We will forward the same information, Honorable Member. Our apologies if you did not receive all the from all the districts, from all the wards, because it's the information that is readily available. We did like we did for Zululand and other areas. And then the chairperson asked me to come in with regard to the why we are not filling the posts. The MEC has responded on that one. We experienced challenges in terms of budget cuts. The report that we got from our CFO is present in the meeting was that we were supposed to be protected from budget cuts. But when you get the reports from the Treasury itself, it does indicate that budget cuts were even made for 800 warm bodies that are working, which then says if somebody passes away, you don't feel that that person passes away because you are already getting paid with the money that is not there. One of my managers used to say it's like when you have an overdraft. Even if there is a transaction where money comes in, you don't feel it because you have an overdraft. So that's what happened. 800 officials' salaries were cut. It's like budget cuts for 800 warm bodies that are physically in the meeting. I mean, in the department. So those are the challenges that we have. So when we then when you identify vacancies, you find that you can't fill the post because now you can see that you want to fill this position, but there is no money for that. But there are bilateral that the department is engaged on with the provincial treasury so that the matter is redressed. I think the MEC did also indicate about the manager for this place who also got promoted and left the place. So we are surviving by using a person who will come and act 3 months down the line. It's very hectic to manage this place. And then you have to identify another person and so on. I think, Chairperson, I've covered the responses, unless if you say we can go to our reports.
There was a question that was asked by Les Govender about the social workers. I don't know whether per what. So I don't know whether you responded to that.
Yes.
Was it covered?
I was saying that we have a social worker in every ward.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, through you, Chair, I've responded that we have a social worker in each and every ward, and that in my understanding, I prepared a database of all the social workers with the contact details for all the wards. And I've tendered my apology to the honorable members if the information for the rest of the wards across the province did not reach the honorable members. We are going to ensure that you get that information before the end of the week, because it's the information that is readily available. It's a good, maybe if I can add, Chairperson and honorable members, it's a good starting point to ensure that there is someone in each ward. But the work that we are doing, one social worker cannot cope, because if you are in Ward 5 of Newcastle municipality, you are responsible for foster care, abandoned children, children that are orphaned, you also substance abuse, all these social ills, social problems that social development render. You are the only person responsible for that, let alone the fact that we have challenges even in terms of admin support, because it means then that you have to, once you interview the client, and that you need to come back and open files yourself. So that takes your professional work. But as a starting point, each ward has a social worker, but that is not enough considering the work that we are doing as social development. Thanks, Chair.
MEC, and thank you, HOD. HOD, I think on this issue of the filling of vacant posts, as you are saying that the department work as a skeleton, and it is difficult for you now to work, and how can the department work if you don't have physical people to assist to go to the field in order for you to deliver services. We have asked before that you give us a report, HOD, on the issue of vacant posts. Just give us a report on the issue of vacant posts and identify the critical vacant posts that the department has got to fill. Because we are not able to assist you if we don't have that report, because we said in order for us also as the portfolio committee to write to Treasury, we must have that full report so that we also assist. I know that it is not the only department that has got a problem in filling the vacant post. Health has got the same problem. Education has got the same problem. In fact, all departments. But seriously, there are departments that are very important. Well, social development as well as health, those are very important departments. You cannot run a department with a skeleton staff. So you need assistance. Sengvala, I just want to say that our CFO is still acting or permanent now.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chair.
Chairperson, can I start where we've left off? Where we've landed? The acting CFO is still in front of you, Mr. Mngomezulu. Acting. He's not a forever acting, but Mr. Mngomezulu is someone who has just retired. So he is just acting and ready to go out if we release him. We have advertised the post. In fact, we have re-advertised because the post was not able to attract relevant people. So we had to go another route of re-advertising. We have just re-advertised the post. The post was closing on the 10th of June. The applications. So as of now, we can say we have about 19 people. There are 19 people who have just applied. So out of those 19 people, we think we do have a hope that we are going to get a CFO. So processes are right on the way. Chair, I wanted to respond to the issue of compensation of employees. As of now, we are seated with some employees which are on contract. As you've been questioning.
Why? You may continue, MEC, but you also tell us that as Mr. Mngomezulu, because we've been observing him acting as CFO, are you giving him, with the problems that you have, the acting allowance?
That one is too administrative. It is for the HOD. On a lighter note, Chairperson. But we are seated as of now with about 135 employees which are on contract. For us to be able to say we are doing our work, the department is doing its work as expected. If you move away those employees which are under contract, just give them someone who's gonna do that job. So it is not easy for the department to say they are doing away with the employees on contract without having someone who's gonna do that job. So as of now, that's what we said to Provincial Treasury. Provincial Treasury is trying to have engagements with the National Treasury on this matter. especially the matter of DSD, has been prioritized by the Office of the Premier and has been escalated to another level, because we cannot do with this whilst we are so short-staffed. So the matter is being handled by both treasury offices. But ours is to say, if we say we should do away with these employees on contract, yes, even tomorrow, we can say we are doing away with them. But who's going to do this job? Thank you.
Thank you.
There's the last one by the HOD.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The PLO has assisted me, Chairperson, with regard to Honourable Governor's concern that the database was indeed forwarded in January, I think after that meeting. But we will also re-forward. That's why I was worried, Honourable Member, because I remember very well that we did that work. But we will re-forward. Thank you.
Thank you, HOD.
Honourable Chair.
Just re-forward it, and Nomango, please make sure that you forward it to the members once you receive it. Can we continue, honourable members, with the presentations? Umuntu questions manje seyobuza lapho. Honourable Tembe. Got it, HOD. You forward to us an updated report. Members, can we move now to agenda item, to the following agenda item? Can we move to the fourth quarter report? We are now going to have the financials. The CFO is going to take us through the financials. And who's going to take us through the non-financials?
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Members. We will start with the non-financial report. I'm not sure whether members would prefer the financial part. We were going to start with the non-financial one, and then Mr. Mezolo will then come in with the financials. We have Mr. Madela, who is acting on behalf of Dr. Gaba, who is going to take the honourable members through the report. I will not give the summary in terms of the performance in the interest of time. He will shoot straight to the report in terms of what we have done in terms of the fourth quarter report. But the other part, the MEC did cover in her opening remarks in terms of the social workers that we employed on contract, who were interns, as well as I think the 40 million additional allocation that we received for SRD. So I'll then request Mr. Madela to go straight to the report. We will not read everything because the honourable members have the reports. We'll just go through the performance by the department in terms of the programs. Thank you very much, Mr. Madela. Thank you.
Mr. Madela, please summarize. You have got 5 minutes. Sikuthembile kozufana ke no Dr. Qaba. Dr. Qaba yena uthatha ngendaba ukuthi udokotela.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members present, and greetings to MEC, HOD and colleagues. I'll just shoot straight to the non-financial report for the fourth quarter. But before I just zoom in on slide 5, I think we have the slide for the contextual background. The MEC did cover part of it. When we report on these indicators, they are of two main categories, non-financial, non-sector ones and the sector ones. The sector ones are the ones with which we do develop in consultation with other provinces as well as national. I must indicate that as KZN, there are indicators that we do not agree on, but once they are debated by the sector and adopted by the sector, they remain binding to us as KZN to report against such indicators. We are also highlighting as part of our contextual background that we did receive some additional support for SRD. That is why on SRD, our numbers shoot straight high because of that additional support. And we also had that additional support of 23 million to appoint social workers and as interns for a short-term period. And with that additional support, we then had some overachievement in some of the indicators. Shooting straight to the first program, that is Program 1. Under Program 1, we have 3 sub-programs and we report on 6 indicators. All those 6 indicators were achieved. And there's a table that talks about management comments and plan of action. We understand that it is too detailed because we indicate what happened for each district. But if I just summarize on those management comments, in areas where we have overachieved our targets, it is because of the very same additional support that I alluded to. One, the appointment of those 967 social workers as intern on a contract basis. So those extra hands enabled us to have some overachievements in some of those indicators that we report on. So basically in Program 1, we're reporting against 6 indicators and we achieved all of them. Moving on to Program 2. On Program 2, we report on 4 sub-programs: care and support services to older persons, care and support services to persons with disabilities, HIV and AIDS, and SRD. And I must indicate again, Honorable Chair and members, that in Program 2, we also achieved all our targets that we have set for the fourth quarter performance in all those 4 sub-programs that I have alluded to. In the main, when you look at older persons and persons with disabilities, there are those that are in residential facilities and there are those that are receiving care and support services in community-based centers. In some cases in residential facilities, because they have a maximum carrying capacity. But if there are beneficiaries that are discharged, whether through deaths or being reunited with their families, then they are replaced. So that is why even in residential facilities, you'll also experience some overachievements if there were new intake after some of those beneficiaries were discharged. And then under Program 3, on that one, we report on 5 sub-programs. It's care and support services to families, it's child care and protection services, it's ECD and partial care, it's child and youth care centers, as well as community-based prevention and support program. Under services to families, we are reporting on 3 indicators. We achieved all of them. And then on child care and support services, we did not achieve all our indicators. There is one indicator, it's element or data element number 17, which talks to foster care. That's where we experiencing some of the challenges in terms of achieving our targets. And then also moving on to the next sub-program, that is ECD and partial care. We did achieve all our targets when it comes to the beneficiaries or the children in this case. Where we did not achieve our targets, it's in relation to infrastructure. I think honorable members will also indicate when the Honorable Premier delivered the SOPA, he also alluded to the fact that when it comes to the issue of construction of some centers that were responsible for the department, we did not fare well there because we had to defer some of the construction because of COVID-19. So even in ECD as well, when it comes to the upgrading and the construction of new centers, we did not achieve our targets there because of some work that had to be deferred, which relates to infrastructure in as far as ECD is concerned. But I did indicate that in as far as reaching beneficiaries, we achieved all our targets. On children in child and youth care centers, we achieved both our targets that we report against, as well as on element number 31, where we report on children receiving services in community-based prevention and support services. Then moving on to program 4, that is restorative services, we report there on 3 sub-programs: crime prevention and support services, victim empowerment program, as well as substance abuse prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation. And then on crime prevention and support, we report on 3 key performance indicators there, and we achieved all our targets. On victim empowerment and support services, we report on 4 key performance indicators. We achieved 3 of those. The one indicator that we did not report, presently the ideal scenario when it comes to EVP is that we have at least 1 shelter in each district. Where we still do not have a shelter is in the Zululand district. So we wanted to have a shelter in all districts. So our target was 12, because in terms of our demarcation is 12 districts. So we still don't have a shelter in Zululand district. So that is one indicator that we did not achieve under victim empowerment program. Then on substance abuse prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation, we report on 3 key performance indicators there. 2 were achieved. The area where we're still battling is with regard to the issue of reintegration and aftercare services. So we did not achieve our targets there on reintegration and aftercare services of those substance users that we had treated in our treatment centers. Then the last key program is program 5, development and research or community development. And under that, we report on 1 sub-program is community mobilization. On that one is element number 39 in our presentation. We achieved our target there. Then there is another sub-program, institutional capacity building and support to NPOs, element number 40. We also achieved our target there. And then we also have a sub-program, poverty alleviation and sustainable livelihoods. We achieved 5 of our targets there, but there are targets that we did not achieve, particularly on the issue of the expanded public works program or the EPWP. While we achieved our targets on the number of work opportunities that were created, but when it comes to full-time equivalent jobs, we did not achieve our targets because some of the projects started late. As a result, that reduced the number of days that were worked by those beneficiaries that were targeted, and then we underperformed on full-time equivalents, although we overachieved in terms of the number of work opportunities that were created. And also still on expanded public works program, where we did not achieve is with regard to the issue of training. because trainings had to be deferred for the next financial years, particularly because of the restrictions that relate to the COVID-19 protocols. Then the next sub-program under Program 5 is Community-Based Research and Planning. We report on 3 data elements there, and all of them were achieved. And then the other sub-program relates to youth development. We report on 3 elements there, elements 49 to 51. All of them were achieved. And then on element 52, under the sub-program women development, we report on 1 data element, and that element was achieved. And the last sub-program under Program 5 is with regards to population unit, where we report on 5 data elements, elements number 53 to 57, and all of them were achieved. So that takes care of all the sub-programs, Honorable Chair and members. And then as I conclude, maybe in the non-financial part, also in the report, there are slides that summarize the overall performance for the department. That is slide number 56, which gives the summary of the fourth quarter performance, where we are saying that during the fourth quarter, we were reporting on 66 performance indicators. We were reporting on 73 performance indicators. 66 of those were achieved, and 7 of those were partially achieved. Partially achieved means that we did not achieve 100% on those indicators, not necessarily that it means that no work was done. And then the next slide there, it shows then the performance, that is slide 57, it shows the performance according to the districts. As we can see in those slides, 3 of the districts achieved 100% performance during the fourth quarter. That is Utugela District, Zululand Districts, and Umkhanyakude. And again, 5 districts achieved 98% for the fourth quarter. That is Ugu District, Ilembe, Herigwala, Umgungundlovu, and King Trial. And eThekwini North achieved 97%. And the lowest performance, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, was 96%, where 3 districts achieved 96%. That is eThekwini South, Umzinyati, as well as Amajuba. Honorable Chairperson, I think I did not take a long time like my boss. Thank you very much.
You were
Thank you,
longer
Mr.
than
Madele.
Dr.
We have really tried. Kodwa uthe uphansi ufane nayo Dr. Xaba. Let us move forward, members, to the financials. But Mr. Madela, bengicela ukuthi mangaba sekebuya kuma responses kube yoqala le I notayo ukuthi akasitshele ngendaba ye people with disabilities. Whilst we appreciate that in amongst ourselves, in our midst, we have got the director of people with disabilities and elderly, and he has got a disability. Mr. Krish, raise your hand, Mr. Krish. And we commend the department to also appoint the assistant, a person who's assisting him next to him. Thank you so much. But we want Mr. Madela to tell us how far have you gone to employ people with disabilities as per the national policy. Angithi kufuneka ube u7% manje. Sekukhunye u7%? So 2.
Yes.
Hayi thina nge-report yethu esayithola kwa-quality of life kodwa seku7 and ninanise la ko-2. Kodwa-ke uzobuyela lapho-ke asike sithathe ulentoza uMr Mgomezulu.
Greetings to Honorable Chair, Honorable Members.
Is your mic on?
Yes, it is on. Honorable MEC, HOD, and colleagues. This is the last quarter of 21-22 financial year.
Ngomezulu, can you try to be audible enough? Siyazi ukuthi you are near to taking retirement.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you have taken your retirement, manje. Usufuna ukhathala. You're not, yeah, you are not tired, but you have retired.
I still have strength there. Thank you very much, honorable members. We've been working together in this journey from the first quarter of 21-22 financial year up to the third quarter. This is the last quarter, which is showing how the department performed during the whole financial year. The report is talking to the revenue that we collected as a department, budget performance, performance on conditional grants, performance on infrastructure, performance on transfers and subsidies, as well as the specifically and exclusively allocated funding. Insofar as the revenue is concerned, the department performed well because we over-collected our revenue. We collected 121% of what we thought we would collect. What made us to collect more, we had a sale of capital assets, which is the redundant motor vehicles, and which we got more on that auction. And the other area was on the financial assets and liabilities, where we collected 4.3 million on recoveries from staff debts. However, we performed less under sale of goods and services other than capital assets because of the non-operation of handicraft center, also in handicraft center, which is here in Newcastle. It hasn't been operational because of the lockdown regulations. We also did not perform well in collecting the interests that we are getting from the staff debts, because we're collecting interest on staff debts only for the staff that has exited the department. So the performance there was not well. Insofar as budget performance is concerned,
Sorry, Mr. Ngomezulu, the department appointed how many?
967.
967, not 935.
967 social workers on a contract for a period of 4 months. Because we that are projecting to understand, to assist the Department of Education because they were projecting huge overspending. So Treasury analyzed our spending patterns and came up with a figure to the department to say we are referencing this amount and we are taking to the Department of Education. And we argue that we can't because we don't know how much is still going to be processed in our system. But Treasury has that way of playing a big brother to the department, and the money was taken and given to the Department of Education. After that, the invoices came in huge numbers, and we had to stop the system to say no, we can't. The authorized expenditure will be huge. It's better that we stop processing payments. So those payments are now a carryover. And they are a carryover in a situation where the department has suffered huge budget cuts. And even in the current financial year, which we started at 1st April, we are still having that carryover. So that is why goods and services way to looks like that. Under interest and rent on land, we underperformed at 81.8%. That's where we pay the HWC as well as the licenses for the TVs that TV sets that we have in our facilities. So there was an overestimation there. Under provincial and municipalities, that's where we pay the licenses for our aiders and motivators. The department did not procure vehicles, indicated by our honorable MEC, because the department has suffered a lot in the hijackings of our case against motivators. I don't know why the DST really funded it like that. So the department resolved not to procure vehicles. So that's why we ended up having that understanding there. under departmental agencies and accounts. Okay, so let me correct myself. The interest and rental payments we pay the interest on overdue accounts. If we pay it in time, we are charged interest. But the bigger chunk of the 165 that we spent there relates to SARS takeovers. SARS takeovers, the tax. SARS, after they closed the tax year on the 28th of February, if a department wants to pay tax for the officials who are exiting, when they are given the gratuities, when the department wants to pay their tax to SARS, SARS is penalizing the department for opening the year that has been closed. So that's why we had that huge spending on interest and rent on debt. I can't remember exactly the figure, but it's more than 100,000 that we paid in the for the SARS. Provincial and municipalities, or I've spoken to that, departmental agencies and accounts. That's where we pay HWC. I mentioned HWC under we interest. So the invoice that they submitted to the department was lower than what was budgeted for. Under non-profit institutions, we underspent at 91.8%. That was because of the reason I mentioned earlier regarding the grants, the EMD grants. On the household, that's where we pay the gratuities for the staff that are exiting the department. We spent 90% of the budget. This one is somehow difficult to estimate because even those that are passing on, there are the gratuities are being paid. It might be easier to estimate that, okay, so that the officials are going to retire, look at the age, but it's difficult to estimate how many are going to resign and how much are going to pass on.
And you must protect your integrity because you are retiring. Don't try to protect anyone. Protect your integrity. Even when people ask questions, just answer truthfully. But now your smile, hey, you are not trusted, man.
I'm finishing, building another structures, yes, we understand Mr. Mandela indicated the delays that we had at the beginning of the financial year in implementing our infrastructure plan because of the COVID-19 regulations. And on the general equipment, we underestimated the cost of the procurement that we had for the machinery for the tools of trade. Insofar as the conditional grants are concerned, yes, I indicated that we underspent under the ECD grant, but we spent 100% of the EPWP grant. Yes, we applied for the rollover of the 38 million, which was a top-up grant to Presidential Employment Initiative grant because it was given to the department during the adjustment estimates. And as a department, we did not want to have it because we were still having a problem of spending the rollover of 79 million that was given to us because of the processes of paying it. Yeah, so we applied for that rollover and we indicated that the money must be paid to the Department of Education because we are no longer processing the ECD at GST. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mngomezulu, and thank you for the report. In fact, we also want to thank Mr. Madela for the report, the non-performance report. Members, over to you. I'll start by first identifying the people who raised their hands, but I did not see their hands when we were dealing with the minutes. There are two members who raised their hands. You can ask your questions. You can even ask the questions that you wanted to ask. Honorable Rajbansi and then Honorable Majola.
Thank you, Chair.
Sabuya Mr. Mngomezulu asichazele kahle ngale roll over ye-ECD emveni uba i-ECD seyimuvile kwa-social development yakwa-education uba isazobasiza kuphi. Mrs. Rajbans.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yeah. Mine is about the comments of the NEC on the gender-based violence. And the Honorable NEC said that, the figures had decreased for gender-based violence. And as much as we appreciate this, but obviously for the department that has implications.
Sorry, honorable members, please unmute so that we can hear Honorable Rajbans.
Yeah,
just mute your mics.
Yeah, Honorable Chair. So if gender-based violence had decreased, that means
Honorable Rajbans, unmute your mic.
I did, Honorable Chair. My mic is unmuted. Can you hear me, Honorable Chair?
I can hear.
Hi, can you hear me, Honorable Chair?
We are being cut off.
We can hear you now.
Yes, Honorable Chair. You see, the Honorable MEC has stated that gender-based violence has decreased. Because of that, it would have implications for the department in the sense that activities would decrease, targets would decrease, and resources would decrease. But at the same time, the CFO was saying that there's 967 social workers that have been employed for 4 months. To us, that means that these are contract workers for gender-based violence. And therefore, they've overspent 18 million. But if they've overspent, then was it because of the initial planning where it was an unfunded mandate? Because this is what would be the problem, when negotiating with the Office of the Premier and National Treasury. And for those reasons, if it was even an unfunded mandate, I wanted to check with the department whether they have applied their minds to either environment within other savings to cover these costs instead of getting this from as an additional baseline. The other is that what I don't understand is that with the COE budget, which has been overspent, we are then told that there's another 135 contract workers who were brought in to assist DSD. And it's very important to know, what were they assisting with? And for these reasons, Honorable Chair, I think that as a committee, we need to resolve that if activities are changing in the department, for example, we know that ECD is taken away from the department. That means that there is an exiting of staff as well, but we need to know from the department whether there's any remaining staff from ECD. And also the attrition report on deaths and retirements, because that means that we have to resolve as a committee to get a new or a revised organogram from the department that I really believe, Honorable Chair, that this is really unethical to allocate budgets like this. And the acting CFO should understand, what kind of picture that paints of how we view the handling of the department's budget and budget provisioning. And I really feel that that area is really unacceptable. And lastly, the underspending of the conditional grant. And we are told that the reasons, the department never gives us comprehensive reasons. But I can tell you, if you just say it's processes means that there's then inefficiency on the department, on the side of the department. It's either that people who are, handling conditional grants do not know what they should be doing, or either our plans are very weak and therefore our processes are weak. And we need to get a proper report of that, because that will be now a loss to the province, especially if National is not going to allow that rollover. So I think these are things that we need to deal with, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Majola.
I have heard with the presentation that was done by MEC that we have got the rehab centers that do not have the managers. I just want to check what could be the reason for that. When we are establishing the staffing process within the rehabilitation, do they have a norm that will be guiding them as to who is supposed to be there and doing what, so that we can be in a position of following each and every employee according to his or her performance? I'm looking at a rehab with no head. Then the other one will be the relationship. I would like to know the relationship between the DSD center, rehab center there, and the psychiatric wing of Madadeni Hospital. And then the other one, how does this rehab relate to the forensic patients? Do they have forensic patients in those rehabs? In those rehabs that are in Newcastle? Then the other one is the issue of saying one social worker per ward. That I'm looking at the situation of education. A teacher will know that each class is supposed to be having so many kids. in relation to one teacher. And then I'm talking about the staffing norm when we are looking at one social worker in a ward which has got that number of the population, so that we don't say one social worker is not enough. What is the normal one, the normal scenario, so that we move from normal to something abnormal, and then we correct. Even if we correct it in 2 wards, that will be enough, because we will be relating to what is supposed to be the normal. Then when we are deviating, we would know that in this case, we are not doing justice when we are talking of the number of the social workers that are supposed to be allocated in our wards. The issue of saying 975, can we relate per ward what is the normal norm, and then we move from it to something abnormal? Then we would understand ukuthi kwenzeka ntoni na. Then the other one, I would love to get an information that is talking about the occupational therapy of the very social workers. Do we have that wing within the department that is specifically dealing with the carers? And I think the issue of the dispute between the department and the Department of Education, Honorable Ratband has mentioned it, because I could not understand what do we mean by processes and the dispute, because both departments knew that there is going to be a transfer of the ECD to education. There wouldn't be a need for them to have a dispute. Whatever that they have been following, DSD was supposed to be knowing that now the processes they were following as DSD are not going to be the same processes that will be followed by Department of Education. If there is a policy talking to that, let the policy work on this issue, not to say because of the processes. Your processes as DSD must not interfere with what is normal from the Department of Education, because at the end of the day, the beneficiary of the service will be the one who will be affected, who will be impacted negatively. So those were my issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Machala. Over to you, members. I will take Honorable Les Govender. Les Govender. Then Honorable Mpanyana. Honorable Tembe. And then lastly is Honorable Mbatatele. Over to you, Honorable Les Govender.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks to the officials for the presentations. Chair, you know, when the officials tell us that they've achieved 100% in almost all of the programs, I can understand why National Treasury doesn't want to give us more money, because they're achieving so much in all of the various programs. Although that is a good thing, but in many aspects there are underperformance, and we need to get to the bottom of that. I need some clarity with regard to the security contracts. Now, surely security contracts, we budget for the year. Now, if we can get an explanation as to why the security contract budget seems to be overspent every time. I remember one time there was outsourcing of security contracts. Then there was, a normal contract that was entered into. So why is it that we are overspending on security contracts? If there are new sites that are being opened up, surely we know in advance when we are doing our budget plans for the financial year. Then, Chair, with regard to the 967 social workers that are on 3-month contract, what happens to them after the 3 months are over? Are they just left out of the system? Where do they go? In view of the fact that we have a shortage of social workers, and we bring them on to do a specific piece of work, and then once the 3 months are over, what happens to them? And what happens more specifically to the work that they were doing? Then, Chair, there was a report that we received from the budget analyst that in terms of compensation of employees, the department had filled posts without getting approval from the Office of the Premier as well as Provincial Treasury. Now, we want to know if that is the case. Did that really happen? And if so, what was the reason for that happening, and why wasn't this committee informed that there was a need to fill these posts without getting approval, because that is in violation of the regulations? Then, the MEC as well as the HOD gave us an explanation with regard to why certain posts, when they become vacant, they are not filled. And we accept that due to the budget cuts. But how is this affecting service delivery? Now, I ask this question with specific reference to the supervision of the NPOs. Now, we find that in the budget analysis, we are getting to hear that there are budgetary, strains are put onto the budget because the NPOs don't submit, their invoices on time and so on. Now, if they are properly supervised and if they have been properly trained, then they will know when to submit those invoices so that it doesn't put pressure on the budgetary system. Also, we have the challenge of the CNDCs. Now, you have your NPOs, and then you have money being transferred from the NPOs to the CNDCs, and the CNDCs then are not complying in terms of how they should function, how they should submit their documents and so on. So that for me is a serious concern, Chair. Then with regard to the non-functioning youth academies, now I saw in our report that the department plans to take over those. Now, what is the department going to do with those non-functioning youth academies? And more specifically, I'd like to know how much of money has been spent on those youth academies already. Where are those youth academies? How much of money has been spent on them? And what now tells the department that if you take over those youth academies, that you are going to make it work? Chair, I don't want us to be throwing money after something and if it is not working. So we need an explanation for that. Then lastly, Chair, with regard to payment for the ECDs in March of this year, I can't understand that there is some sort of argument going on between DOE and DSD, because the function that the ECDs performed in March was a responsibility of DSD, insofar as I'm concerned. Although you transferred the function in April, but the services were performed in March. So your budget should have actually told you, we need to set aside X amount of money, even though we are paying it in the following financial year. But from your March financial year, you should have had that money to pay the DSD. Thank you, Chair. That's for me.
Thank you, Honorable Kavenda. Honorable Kwajan.
Thank you, Chair. I just first welcome all the presentation that was presented to us this morning. But I've got some few questions on top of that. We welcome the issue of deploying some social workers in each ward. But to me, it's just a drop in the ocean. Some other wards are so huge. One social worker cannot do anything. In other words, we cannot expect a
a good service delivery to each and every ward, because one social worker cannot do anything. I think that must be taken into consideration. Do something about that as a department, because we need a fully service delivery to our people outside. Secondly, MEC talked about the cars that has been hijacked. I asked that question before. I want to know how many cars have been hijacked, how many were found in a good condition, how many were not found at all, and to have anything in place of how I'm going to deal with this issue of hijacking of cars, because it's annoying now. To me, it seems as if you are not doing anything as a department. I think you must do something about it. Second, the other thing, it's about the number of cases of elderly abuse. MEC talked about the hotspots of those places where we found elderly people being abused. You have done the awarenesses as well, but it's continuing as if we are not doing anything about it. I don't know whether we've got something else that you can do as department of dealing with this issue of elderly abused, because our people, we love them. We loved our old ones. We don't want them to be abused at any time, anyhow, and be killed at the end. So I think awarenesses are done right, but it's not enough to me, because we still continue with this issue. Some other questions my colleagues have covered me. I think about rushing time, that's where I can end. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Nkwanya. Honorable Tembe.
Thanks, Chair. Good afternoon, honourable members. Good afternoon, honourable MEC. On a lighter note, the HOD always responds to me, so I don't know what honourable governor is talking about. She always responds to me. Anyways, I'm just to digress a little bit. On the first note for me, just to digress, Chair, I think I would have liked to see maybe a report come to this committee about the updates of the floods and what DSD has done with the flood victims in eThekwini and Ilembe, with all the destruction that's happened. Just about information of, the sources that DSD did in the halls, the social workers, the correspondence with SASSA, blankets, just an update, Chair, if I could ask if that could be appraised to us maybe in the next meeting about information that happened with the flood victims and how DSD helped with that. I also have quite a problem with the correlation of the budget and then the overachieving that happens. I think sometimes those two are not really speaking hand in hand. We have here that the NPOs have underspent due to that they're not supplying information in time, so we've underspent with the budget. But we also see there's an overachievement and capacitation of NPOs, and that doesn't seem to make sense. It was written that they have to now, to try and mitigate those factors, to have weekly reports. But also we know that NPOs and social workers and NPOs have higher workloads. So aren't we then putting extra stress on those NPOs to try and have a faster turnaround time? There must be some other way or some other easier way in order for the NPOs to be capacitated so that the budget can reflect more accurately than it does. Another one is human trafficking. I think those numbers are just ridiculously too low. I also think maybe the numbers aren't known. And is social development working with the Department of Safety and Security? Because with human trafficking comes drugs, prostitution, and the list can go on. I think if we try to tackle it as a single basis, then our reflection of numbers will always remain low, because the correlation will always work with prostitution, drugs, and then the list will go so on and so forth. So I think we should really relook at that and how the strategy with working with safety and security will go forward with that. I'm not going to speak more. I think the colleagues have spoken about the social workers in one ward. I think it's grateful that social workers are on one ward, but other wards need much more social workers. So that's been covered. Another thing about the buildings and the delays, it says that there's a delay in appointments of service providers. What exactly are those delays, and how can those factors be mitigated properly? Because these buildings are needed, and what's going on? Why are there delays in appointments? Because I know if you do appoint a service provider, then something happens, that's on their side. But us appointing service providers, that's on our side. So what are those delays, and how can they be mitigated? And then another thing is unregistered MPOs. So there are facilities out there that are living in such insane, inhumane conditions where Kulu are staying there, but because they're unregistered and unknown, they're not getting the full protection from the government. So what are we doing about unregistered MPOs? Because there are, and people are utilizing their SASSA grants for these MPOs, but they're not registered. They're not, they don't facilitate properly. The elderly are not protected, and they're being abused. So what are we doing with unregistered MPOs? Within DSD. I think I'm going to end there, Chair. Thank you for the presentations.
Thank you, Honorable Tembe. Honorable Mbata.
Isibonge slide. Seqala ukubonga ama-remarks honorable agency. Ama-report womabili. Sibonga nama-report womabili esiqala. I-question yokuqala. Angizwile. I-question yami yokuqala sihlalo ila ku. I-question yami yokuqala sihlalo ila kulokhu. Ekutheni la ku page 48 wale report esinikwa yona le yama non-financial. La kuthiwa khona ama-EPWP awazange atrainwe sihlalo uzero nje impela. Bese kuthiwa isizathu it's because of COVID. I disagree with this. I don't agree with them because page same document page 45 uthi kena ama-cooperatives wona were trained. Yini umehluko ama-EPWPs abehlezi kuphi ephesheya yawona ama-cooperatives ase-South Africa. If you manage to train the cooperative, what stops you to train the EPWP? Kumi kuyafanana. I said they were extras. It's agreed that whoever was supposed to train the EPWP failed to do his or her job based on a report 80 cooperatives wona was training. Then to Chair, kunale issue hijacking. Kufuna ukucheck ukuthi isihlalo ziningi imoto ehijackwayo ze-department or zika-government zikahulumeni nje wonkana. Iy'moto zikahulumeni sihlala azinaweni ama-car trackers on. Because iy'moto uma uyithenga zethu nje zinama-car track. Ukuthi-ke azinaweni ama-car track iy'moto zikahulumeni ukuthi mhlawumbe uma isintshontshe ukwazi ukuyi-track ukuthi ingakuphi. Angi-understand ukuthi kuza kanjani. Because we never receive a report ukuthi imoto was hijacked and yatholakala. Azitholakali nje. Kwenzeka kanjani ukuthi zingatholakali Chairperson? Bese kuba le issue eraiswe Honorable Lester phana le ye-underspending enye edalwe ama-transfers to non-profit institutions njenge-youth academies. We know Chair ukuthi abantu uma besafuna umsebenzi benza ama-business plan amahle as if they will manage the project. But then we are also expecting ukuthi department mayenza ama-follow-up kumele ibe nayo into ethi as we are funding you, we are going to train you or assist you on how to account, how to manage your finances. Because sikhuluma nge-youth la abantu abasakhula abasafunda. Mhlambe i-department ayinawo indawo ama-project ba-train ukuthi siyanifanda bese sizon-train. Kunante into ekhuluma nge-poor financial controls. Train them how to do ama-financials abo. Also the lack of capacity to operate. Kunywa ngayo, but bafunda kanjani abantu abasha ungenayo program yokuba-train ukuthi fanele basebenze kanjani. Chair, mhlampe uma ngingathola ukucaciseleka kulokho. Last chair, kule ka-7% on people with disability. If you can read the document, there is a performance agreement between the President of the Republic of South Africa and the Minister for Women, Youth and Persons with Disability. Eyenzeka ngo-June 2019. Yayikhuluma ukuthi from June 2019 to April 2024, kufanele ukuthi i-department, ama-department ese-achieve 7% of appointing people with disability. That's where we're referring to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then we check ukuthi when the department yenza lama targets wayo nani, do they do that before or after ama-budget cuts? Ngoba if futhi i-target yakho ithi uzokwenza izinto eziwu-50, phatha nathi i-budget cut awusakwazi ukwenza izinto zakhe eziwu-50. Sikwenza nini, after or before? We wait for ukuthi sithole i-budget ukuthi ime kanjani, or siyenza nje i-budget bese ifika sesihamba ngendlela. Because I foresee this thing of over expenditure. I see overachievement. Ngibeke ngegama elikahle ngithi overachievement. Kodwa i-overachievement ihamba nemali angithi. Yes.
Yaphendula u-MEC la eduze kwami uthi ngesinye isikhathi ayinamali. Ukhohliwe ke ne-disability bengicabanga ukuthi u-chairperson we-quality of life. Okay. I think I'm going to hand over to you to respond, Mr. Mandela and Mr. Mngomezulu. We want to commend the department for actually achieving 100% in terms of spending the social sector EPWP incentive grant for provinces. That was good, and you need just a round of applause there. But on the ECD grant, we just want to know why do you underspend the ECD grant, because you had underspent by 82.415 million. And another thing, you are saying you are going to apply for a rollover. So if you apply for the rollover, what are you going to do with those funds? Are you sure that you are going to transfer the funds to DOE? Because ECDs have already been transferred to DOE. And you must remember that as Honorable Les Governor was saying, you already has a dispute between yourselves and DOE with regards to payment of March 2022 transfer payment in respect of ECDs. That is what we were told by Treasurer. So we just want you to get on that. On the issue of the slow processing of claims, are there any improvements? That is my last one. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, honorable members, for the questions that have been and comments that have been raised to the department. We are a team, and we will respond to the questions. Those that are easy, the HOD will respond to those, and the difficult ones, the colleagues will respond. Can I clarify, Honorable Chair, there was no dispute with regard to the ECD payment. It was a matter of us agreeing on how to take the process forward, because the budget that was allocated to us, it was up until March, and then in April it was a matter of who will then process the March a transaction, considering that the function is with the Department of Education. We then agreed that DSD will do that, because we have been doing that. In fact, as we were doing that, we were also supporting Department of Education in terms of understanding how the claims are managed, because that was also new to them. So there was never a dispute, because we understood very well how the process should unfold. If maybe the report you got, honorable members, it was like there was a dispute, we are not in agreement with that, because there was never a dispute, and we were working together towards the migration of the function with the Department of Education. May I then respond to the also some of the questions and comments, and the colleagues will come in. With regard to the issues of planning for targets, remember in the government planning cycle, you plan at a certain point, and then when you get the budget, you reprioritize and so on. So we follow the same process as the department, but unfortunately, you find that at some point budget cuts come along the way, and then we have to align ourselves accordingly in terms of those budget cuts. I think that is in line with the question by Honorable Mbata. With regard to the car hijacking, Honorable Mbata, through your chair, is that we do have a record of the cars that are stolen and hijacked as well. We must also confirm that government vehicles did not have the car trackers. So that's why then we were a target. But as a way of mitigating that challenge, we have then started that project. So at this point in time, there is a project going on there. We are now installing the trackers in our cars. We are working very closely with the law enforcement agencies to actually ensure that we follow up on the cases. There are cars that have been recovered, some still in a good condition, and some maybe have some challenges here and there. But the provincial commissioner is supporting us in terms of this challenge. We have the list of the vehicles that have been hijacked in the offices where these cars come from. We have hotspot areas like Inanda. You know that you won't have joy in those areas, because social workers are even scared to do field work. Our work is labor intensive. You must be there physically, do a home visit to a family and so on. And then King Kechwayo areas as well, and also some areas within Umsunduzi. So we do have those hotspot areas that we know. And we must indicate that is also very traumatic to our officials, even emotionally, because you see when the car is hijacked, it's not taken nicely from you. One of the officials is also still going through the employee assistance program from King Joy, because she was about to be raped when that car was taken from her. And then the car hijackers, the robbers, were she was relating her story to the MEC when she visited them to support the office, that what disturbed them from not actually raping her was when the phone rang, because the person who was waiting for the car knew that they are in the forest now with her and they have the car, but was worried why are they not coming out of the forest with the car. So when the phone rang, it disturbed them when they were undressing her, trying to rape her. So one of the challenges that our officials go through the process. Some of the referral cases, you find that it's not easy for us to respond if it comes from those areas, because you have to ensure that you get someone who has maybe a subsidized car, or you get the police who will escort our officials to work in those areas. But some of the strategies to manage this process, we introduced the Scheme B process, where those who have vehicles can actually use their own cars to actually do the work, and then the supervisors, they monitor all that so that they claim the actual kilometers traveled. And then the second is the one that we are now installing the car trackers in all the vehicles. We then participated in a national a transversal contract with regard to the installation of the trackers. So that is being managed. And then with regard to the response, the question by Honorable Mbata on the 7%, we are at 2.7% in terms of employment of persons with disabilities. We are above 2% now. So when we came in, we're below 2%. So we are very conscious in terms of recruiting and employing persons with disabilities. Hence, we have 2 senior SMS members who are with disabilities. And at this point in time, also to strengthen that, we have done a survey, because in terms of the policies from DPSA, you must also do a survey to say, as we employ you with the disabilities, what support do you need? Because we don't want to employ people just for the sake of the statistics, but you must enable that person to actually deliver. And those that we've employed, they're very competent and they can do the work. So we are doing that survey. Some you find that a person would need a footrest. So which means that the disability says the other leg is shorter. So a footrest would make the person sit comfortably in his chair. So this is the work we've done, that we have visited each and every official across the province to get that information. But now, the issue of the 7%, we are aware of the 7%. In fact, when the 2% was proclaimed long time after democracy, it was like just ensuring that there is employment of persons with disabilities. It was not scientific. It was not based on anything. So that's why then now there is 7% to say there are more people with disabilities. So 2%, no, it is moving to 7%. Hence, our target as the department will definitely reach the 7%. It's just that at least the 2%, we have reached it and we've passed the 2%. The attitude is very positive in the department to actually ensure that we employ persons with disabilities. With regard to the questions by Honorable Dembe, in terms of the update on the report, we'll prepare the reports, because those are the reports that are readily available. We have weekly meetings where we present our work in different forums, like on Tuesdays, like tonight, there is one that started 19 hours, which is an interministerial committee, that is where the MEC is also part of. So the report is available. She did also report on the challenges that are there. I think we won't dwell much on that because the report will be able to ensure that we provide. But what we can share with the honorable members, just the highlight is that as the province, we are stuck in the shelters for displaced people because we know that the sooner human settlement build temporary residential units, the better, because people will be out of the shelters. But in some other areas, is that there are challenges in terms of the land where people can be assisted with those structures. So, but the other challenges we can also share with you, because some people, you find that were tenants. What we have seen in one of the areas we visited, you will find that the person will come. Remember, informal settlement areas, most of the people, they come from there. So you'll have 4 shacks, and then you put people there in an area that is not habitable. So then some of the people that are in the shelters are tenants. So you see, if you are a tenant and you have a problem with your landlord, obviously you look for another landlord. So they're not looking for other landlords now. Now they are like those who are in need of shelters. So there are dynamics as well as far as that is concerned. But what we are also emphasizing is the fact that there's a lot of work that is done by social development in terms of psychosocial support, because you find that imagine you were living in your private space, even though maybe you have less vulnerable, but at least you were happy with your children. Now you are in a hall like this with strangers, with your children and with your husband or your partners and so on. It's a very traumatic experience. And all in all, we have 97 or so shelters, because at times they get decommissioned when there are other where there are people when they go back home and so on. The only district that has fewer, that was fortunate, it's Umsunduz. They have got Umgungundlovu, they have only 1 shelter. But at eThekwini there's more, eThekwini North and South, and Ilembe fewer, Ugu they're getting fewer and fewer. I think Ugu now maybe they're about 3 or so. So it's one of those challenges. Okay. Yes. What we did, but no, let me not go to that. Be tempted to go to the report on shelters because we'll talk about it. And then there was a question by Honorable Majola with regard to the norms and standards for social workers. We do have norms and standards for social workers, but unfortunately we are not adhering to those norms, because it says a social worker must only have 60 caseload, but we are more than that. A social work supervisor must supervise only 6 social workers, but it's more than that. We shared that information with the provincial treasurer because they were looking for that information. The position of having at least 1 social worker per ward was the department was trying to be as accessible as possible for the people, so that you know who is servicing where. So that's why then we were trying to ensure that at least there are more people that are assisted. But that was a start, as I indicated earlier, that there is more work that needs to be done, because we do need social service professionals. I must indicate, honorable members, that there was a point in terms of the National Development Plan, in fact, even before that, the country reached a resolution that social work is a scarce skill. Hence, the National Treasury gave social development an allocation for scholarship program. Hence, you see quite a number of as young people who were sent to universities to start social work as a career. Now, when that process started, we were able to absorb the graduates as they come from universities up to a point where we couldn't absorb them because we had the allocation for training, but not an allocation to actually employ these graduates when they come out of the universities. Hence, we have, as a province, we have more than 2,000 unemployed social work graduates. So those that we employed, that are 967, were out of the plus 2,000, let alone the fact that there are those who financed their studies through their parents and grandparents. So now the challenge is that we cannot employ them. And the social ills that are out there justifies for us to actually have more social service professionals. So we couldn't then employ them. So the norms are there. For example, even in this facility, honorable members, through you, Chair, Honorable Majola asked, rehab centers are highly regulated. There are norms and standards, there are policies, there is also a legislation that governs the rehab centers. We should not have a situation where we do not have a manager here. The manager got promoted, I think before I came, he got a director post. There is no one. And it's one of the priorities where we say we need a post at Matateni Rehab and other areas where we cannot fill those positions. It's highly regulated. In fact, recently we were saying, as we want to be supported to fill these positions, we want the provincial treasurer to support us, because in other provinces we have learned that the manager for a rehab center is at a director post, whereas here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the managers of rehab centers are at a deputy director post. So we wanted to be supported that as we advertise this post, we need to know that at what level must it be advertised. So the norms and standards are very clear, but we have visited the other provinces where the manager is at a director post to benchmark. We've been to Free State and to the Northern Cape, which are recently established rehab centers, and we have benchmarked there, and we are looking forward to actually fill this position. I think I've said a lot in terms of our responses. May I request the chairperson to protect me from herself? He's saying he thinks I'm done with what I was supposed to. Okay, there is one question with regard to the report that you have received with regard to some posts that were filled, having not received the. I think we will keep on explaining ourselves on this one, because it will always keep on coming. When the HOD arrived in the department, the person who was responsible for HR, who was supposed to alert the HOD to say, as much as the post is vacant, but you're not supposed to fill it because this is the process, did not tell the HOD. So the HOD, there are few, it's not many posts that were filled because of the normal process to fill a position. So then, until the provincial treasury brought that circular to the attention of the HOD. In fact, the HOD had never seen that circular until it was brought to the HOD's attention. Then we made a commitment to say we're seeing this circular for the first time, and going forward, we will follow the process as we are doing it now. But we know that I don't know why, but it keeps on coming each time they will they will keep on reporting about it. But when one was trying to also take the manager to task to say why in writing that was not, the HOD was not appraised, then she indicated that it was out of desperation because we couldn't function, but also he was on his way out, exiting the department. He retired, so it's no longer even in the department. That is the explanation. But there is no attitude from the department side not to follow the internal, the provincial processes in terms of the filling of the post. That's why then we have not yet filled the post, as much as we make the commitments to the committee, but we are unable because we follow the processes that are there. But some of the posts that we filled were posts that had already been approved to be filled as the department. We do not have youth academies that are not functional. They are all functional. We have 2 youth academies, Honorable Chair, one within King Joy District at Eshowe, and the other one at Umkhanyakude District. And then we have youth development centers across the province in other areas. So we do not have those that are non-functional. Chairperson, can I stop there? Maybe ask the CFO if there is anything that they would want to do in terms to say to what to those that I did not cover. Well, with regard to the last one, NPOs, the capacity building, where one of the programs has done the training. I think what we are advocating for in the departments is for some virtual workshops, virtual seminars, training, so that people are able to be capacitated. But in some other areas, it depends on the level of the people, where you find that maybe they are not in a position to master virtual training and virtual workshops, but we're able to access as many people as possible. I will not respond. The chairperson says the HOD is the social worker by profession, so she will not stop. We have observed that, chairperson, when we interview social workers, they say a lot. Thank you very much. I tried to be as quick as possible, chairperson.
They say a lot.
Mr. Mgomezulu.
Oh, now you're feeling. Oh, no. Okay, now.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members. I think HOD responded to most of the questions. There is a question, why did we underspend on ECD grant? We've explained this, I don't know. We are saying as a department, if National gave us this grant to do it on ourselves, it was going to, we were going to perform better. But what happened? National gave us the money, but said they are going to manage the applications from the beneficiaries at a central point, National. They hired a service provider to do that work. So that created many complications. Because as a department, we were only given the batches that have been verified to process the payments. So it was not on our side to result in underspending on the grant. It's because it was managed centrally and there were complications. The issue about security contracts, as to why are we keep on reporting overspending, the pressures under security. When the outsourcing of this activity started, there was no additional budget that was given to the department. We had to reprioritize from within our vote. And we didn't have much. We have communicated to Treasury requesting additional funding in this regard. And they are saying they can't fund initiatives that have a carry-through cost. And this is regulated by CIRA. Each year in September, they are increasing the rate. So it results to a pressure to a department, which we do not know when are we going to resolve it. The other thing that maybe I need to mention to the members, because we are still going to go to the finance committee on this report. They are going to be saying the department has spent the specifically and exclusively allocated funding for other things. What I want the honorable members to understand is that the department's budget doesn't balance. I'm talking to the operational budget and the service delivery budget. What we are getting as a department is the service delivery budget, which National is allocating to the department, and we are getting it from Treasury. But the other leg of operational budget is not getting the increase. So it will remain like this until we get additional budget that will increase operational. Now, Treasury is talking about allocating funding for service delivery. If we go to our Treasury guideline workshops, we are told to reprioritize, and the savings that we get, we push them to service delivery. Now, this leg of operational is not increasing. We are crying about the filling of posts. Treasury is saying if we want funding, they can maybe negotiate for us to get the funding to fill the social work posts. But what about the support? The support, they are silent about it. I'm trying to get my questions. Why did we apply for ECD grant? Okay, it was part of the handing over to the Department of Education. Our national department asked the provinces to prepare submissions for a rollover. But when that money is approved by Treasury, it will be paid to Department of Education. Yeah, I don't know whether they are still. Yeah, HOD did answer to most of the questions. To most of the questions, there are those that are at the beginning when Honorable Tapur at the beginning raised her questions. There was something about underspending where I spoke about the TV licensing. The allocation under that category, which is departmental agencies and accounts, we pay for HWCTA, which is the large amount, and there is a small amount that we allocate for TV licenses. In the prior year, 2021, HWCTA gave us the invoice of 5 point something million. So in 21-22, we also allocated a similar amount, expecting to get the same maybe invoice. But this year, they submitted the invoice of 4-point-something million. So the expenditure was lower in such a way that during the adjustment estimates, some of the money was removed from this category to goods and services. So the balance that remained also could not be spent fully, as we have underspending 122,000 under that category. I don't know if there are.
Why the department is putting money on the students? Did you respond to that? I guess this meeting endorses. Yeah, yes. Why you have the straight economic demand?
I think as far as I know, Honorable Chair, the CNDCs are NPOs themselves. But in instances where there is a CNDC that is not getting the money direct, but through an NPO, maybe it can be a unique situation or arrangement. Maybe also we'll have to investigate, because in some other areas, there was a time where we were saying there are areas where there is an outcry that there are no CNDCs. Then we're saying that we need to ensure that there are CNDCs even in other areas. So maybe it is that arrangement, but may I request the chairperson that we investigate the matter so that we can then respond accordingly. But as far as I know, the CNDCs are run by non-profit organization that we support as the department. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Mandela, are you covered by the MEC? Or you just want to clarify two things? Because it is MEC thing, the best thing that let's do this business.
No, Chairperson, I'm covered by the response by the MEC and the HOD. I think the one question
is your mic on?
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm covered by the responses from the MEC and the HOD. I think the one question, Chairperson, which maybe will need some other time to discuss further, is this question on the correlation between non-financial performance and financial performance. Safe to say to the members that there are performance indicators that have direct cost implications, and there are those that do not have direct cost implications. If more people come to our local office to see a social worker who is already paid on the compensation of employee, we will achieve more in terms of reaching more people, but in terms of the budget, you won't see the movement because that person is seen by a person who is already paid. Yes, thank you very much.
Explanation. Because we always ask this question. A good explanation indeed. Thank you so much, members. Members, can we move on to the responses of the Workers' Parliament? HOD, I think you have got a few responses. Women's. I mean, in women's Women's Parliament, chairperson we-Quality of Life. Usela. Uyena kanye bejakhela ukuthi ufuna ukuhamba. Kodwa ufuna ukuzwa ke la. Women's Parliament.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable members, MEC. Good afternoon. This is the department's progress report on the resolutions of Women's Parliament that took place at Mkoba Community Hall, Omzuwa Bantu Local Municipality in August 2021. We noted the resolution. There was a resolution that there is high rate of gender-based violence and femicide in our society, and that the Women's Parliament resolved that the department must educate the public about the existence of white door centers and how they work. The department has continued to educate the public on GBV and femicide in all its engagements with the communities in local municipality meetings. And during these engagements, the department was able also to share the information with the communities on the white door centers. The education engagement platforms also include the physical meetings, virtual meetings, as well as radio and TV broadcasting, also a discussion that are led by the MEC. At times, if the MEC is not available, also the HOD does share the information. Some of the MEC engagements are as follows. There were engagement in these areas, Hammersdale, as well as in one of the churches in Duba, and also in the colloquium that we had as the province, KwaZulu-Natal District, where she was engaging with Mama Basemaplazini, as well as eThekwini, Ogu District. And then in the International Day Women's Celebration that was at Herikwala, Inanda, Umbumbulu, Ugu, and in Boys Assembly that was at Umkanyagude in the north, in eThekwini, Claremont, in Durban, as well as the engagement with the UNISA students. We are also very much visible, Chairperson, even with the tertiary institutions. And then also the live shows that we had with the MEC and HOD in different radio stations, as we have indicated, and also the live shows within SABC and ETV and other newsrooms like Newsroom Africa, where we speak about gender-based violence and femicide, and then also these shelters and facilities that assist communities, including white door centers. And then the department, in partnership with Ukhozi FM, we also had 20 episode radio drama where we also highlighted issues of gender-based violence. And then the following are the campaigns that we had. For example, there's a banner campaign where all the emails in the department, you find that the signature there, it has the banner which says no violence against women and children, as well as our toll-free number. And then we also had partnership with Santaco within eThekwini Metro, where we branded 500 local taxis with GBV posters, as well as you have seen, if you have the document in the picture there. We learned that a majority of the ordinary people use taxis, and some of the perpetrators also are ordinary people who use taxis. And then we thought that it will be very much relevant and vibrant for us to partner with Santaco, and they do preach the gospel as well. The department, it was one of the resolutions that department must further increase the number of white door centers and at least establish them at least in each and every local municipality. The number of white doors, so far they remain 31, and then could not be increased in the last financial year because of COVID-19 restrictions, and as well as the fact that the white door centers in some of the communities were not optimally utilized by the communities, and then the budgetary limitations, because in a white door, you also support them with the funding if they accommodate people that need the services of the white door. This is the progress report, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, as far as the Women's Parliament is concerned, that took place in August 2021. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, good responses. Please invite us in this August. Are you going to have the same program this August? I like this one of Sadako. Is it possible that you don't just do it as an event, but you negotiate with our taxi owners to have those stickers? Abhaliwe ukuthi amadoda akadlwenguli. Lento zenemateksi. I don't know how possible is that. It's a good one, yes. Ngiyayibona ukuthi inhle kanjani. Honorable Mbatha-Cele. Is your mic on?
Chair, is this thing still working? Yes. Okay, no, thanks, Chair. I'm raising my hand to thank the report that is just presented by HOD and the team. That I think they are doing a very good job, and it shows that they are implementing the resolutions of the sectoral parliaments. And I'm saying this because last week we had a youth parliament. They were impressed about your responses to youth parliament. Yeah, so keep it up, Ningashon Pants. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you for all the contributions which have been made. And what is said by Honorable Mbatha-Cele is encouraging. I hope the HOD and the team will be encouraged and to be able to do more for the people of KwaZulu-Natal under abnormal conditions and abnormal situations. But I hope they will be encouraged, and this message should go to even employees which are very junior in encouraging them. The issue of being able to strengthen a partnership with some role players like your Santako and everyone. We might not be able to continuously do it, but we are going to try to pursue that as per your advice. If you are looking at, in terms of advertising the work we are doing in social development, in terms of publicizing what we are doing, it goes for some payment. You go to ask for a slot in radio, in TV, you pay. There's nothing for mahala. So you can find that a 5-minute slot, you have to pay maybe 15,000 for just a 5-minute slot. You can get that for a a slot where you, because we think the most effective slots we can buy is where the department can interact with abantu, the people of KwaZulu-Natal.
Okay.
So it is rare to find us doing that due to the high cost of those slots. So as of now, we are trying, we have put it to the OTP, the Office of the Premier, in saying, can't we have a coordinator who is coordinating all departments? It might be cheaper for us to get those slots. As of now, this was the shortest route to have a circulating message. For us to have that partnership with Santaco, you know that you see the taxis branded, and that message is not for a short time, it's for a long time and can circulate and touch more lives of the people of KwaZulu-Natal. We can pursue that, but even though taxes are paid, but as compared to what we pay for a short slot in radio, it is far too less, because each taxi is paid for that message, but for the whole month, as compared for this shorter period. So we are looking forward, and we are having some meetings with all stakeholders as of now, in terms of how can we deal with gender-based violence. Your traditional healers have a negative effect on these societal issues, because you can find that other people are doing this for umuti.
Yeah.
You have seen that, and so we had some talks. We have engagements with the traditional healers as well, but with traditional leadership, we said let us have meetings with the women, the wives. We had some sessions with Ondlunkulu. We have started with Ondlunkulu Basogwini, because that is where gender-based violence ibonakala kakhulu. Siqalisile had a very good meeting with them, so that we talk about this gender-based violence. And Ondlunkulu, since a stage where they can play their role as Ondlunkulu, they get some platforms where they can talk about gender-based violence. That's what we are looking for. We are looking for the support, and they are the easily people who can relate the message to Amakos, because there are issues as affected whereby icala lomuntu odlenguliwe kuvele kuqulwe la kaNkosi. So we are just informing them we cannot have those situations. Let Amakosi amanye ama-issues be treated as criminal kunokuba aloqulwa phansi kwesihlahla. Thank you, Chairman.
Hey, thank you so much, MEC. Thank you so much, and thank you for the presentations. On behalf of the Portfolio Committee, I would like to thank you, MEC, for always being there when you invite you to the portfolio committees. Akukho la sikufuna khona sikusokolela khona unless really you have got a problem. Okanye kukhona apho u-engaged khona futhi uyareporta uzuzobhala incwadi ebhalwe phansi. Angifuna ukusho ukuthi unlike other MECs, kodwa ngifuna ukusho ukuthi nje lokhu na okwenzayo nje uqhubeke ukwenze, because we appreciate it a lot. And we also want to thank your officials at DSD under the leadership of HOD Vilakazi. So HOD Vilakazi is very hands-on, and she replies to everyone. Honorable less governor, maybe maybe there was a problem of communication or a network, but she replies to everyone. Once you call her, she just acts immediately. So I encourage every member to have the number of HOD. You just drop an SMS or WhatsApp. Even if she's in a meeting, she's able to arrange people in your area to go and assist with whatever you have. We also want to extend our appreciation for the presentations that we got today from Mr. Mngomezulu as well as Mr. Madela. And we also want to thank all the staff, the officials that are here. They left their offices and they are here and to come and listen and to support. We thank the members of the legislature. We know that you are busy and we are rushing somewhere. We've got a lot of meetings, but you do attend. I don't have a problem as the chairperson of social development of not having a quorum. I always have a quorum, MEC. Well, if it's a meeting, a full meeting, the people, they do attend. And we also want to thank the support staff for organizing this meeting to be here today. And then after this, we are just going to have just a lunch, quick lunch, and then and take grounds here in the rehabilitation center. I don't know who is going to lead us, but the HOD is going to assist on that one. Okay, there is a hand there. So, thank you so much.
If I could just ask one question. People are asking us about the 350 grant. What is the latest on that? Because there's so many, missed messages that are going around. When are they going to be paid? Are they going to be paid? Are they going to be back paid?
The 350 grant.
SRT grant. Could we get some kind of information on that, Chair? Thank you.
Chair, we might not have we might not be the relevant people to respond on that, because there's SASSA. USASSA is on top of things and managing EPW grants. So as of now, we are going to refer the matter to SASSA.
Yeah, I thought that since we didn't have SASSA, yeah, maybe I thought you might have some.
There are changes today and tomorrow. That's why we said, let us not be the ones to respond.
Yeah. Okay, maybe in the next meeting we must invite SASSA to come to. Yes. Thank you so much. Let us just have a quick lunch, and then Mrs. Mdlalose is going to take us around.
Umama Mdlalose has prepared a presentation about the facility itself before you take rounds.
Oh, okay. So what do you prefer, members, just to have lunch or to have the presentation, or to just go around as she's showing us and then she just speak than sitting down, because we are going to delay if we are sitting down? I suggest that we must have lunch, and then, because she has got a know-how of the facility, and then she's going to brief us on each and every area we are going to. And Nomango, is it the only rehabilitation center we are visiting? Nomango?
No, go to another one.
So that means we are not going to delay, because we've got to be quick, because there are 2 rehabilitation centers that we have targeted.
There's one for children.
Oh, there's one for juvenile.
For adults.
Oh, this one is for adults. Okay. Okay, can we have lunch then? Thank you. Thank you so much, honorable members who are online. Mfundisi.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Mfundisi. Mama Mdlalose, sicela usibongele ukudla. Amen. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, members who were online, who joined visually. The meeting stands adjourned. Thank you so much to participate in this meeting. We're doing oversight now.
If they can, we have a concert list, members.